and welcome to the Big Apple School podcast, the weekly English show where we speak about everything under the sun. The major goal of the show is to help you improve your English and, of course, learn something new. My name's Katja, I'm your host, and today with me...
John from England.
And...
Michael from Nigeria.
Guys, we're doing our best to help you as much as possible, and we would like to get some feedback about it. Subscribe to our pages on Apple, Yandex, Google, VK, or other platforms where you listen to our podcast, and let us know what you think about our show. Rate and review our podcast, give us stars, leave some comments, ask questions, and feel free to send your ideas about the next episodes. It won't take much time or effort, right? But it'll help us a lot to become even better. All of this for you. Well, and Michael, John, and I are about to discuss small-scale farming. Honestly, the thing I know almost nothing about. So, guys, I think before we talk about farming, it's worth giving it a definition. Like, what is farming? How do you understand it? So...
All right. Probably John want to give it a start.
Well, farming, let's see. Purpose of farming, we've been doing it as human beings for about, 10,000 years, I think, is to produce food. And we need food to eat. Before we farmed, we were hunter-gatherers. We'd wander around the wilderness looking for things to kill and eat and things to pick off trees to eat. But it was a lot more, shall we say, easier to capture animals, domesticate them, keep them in one place, protect them from predators, breed them, kill them and eat them, and grow stuff. That meant that we could produce more food, have a more reliable supply of food, and that meant that the human population could grow. And without farming, we wouldn't be where we are today. Farming, of course, has changed over the last 10,000 years out of all recognition. And there's all sorts of different types of farming now. You could, when I was at school learning geography, you could divide it into, in England, extensive farming or intensive farming.
Well, you'll have to elaborate on that for us.
Extensive farming means lots of land. You don't throw much in the way of chemicals or that sort of thing at it. You farm sort of pretty naturally, but you using a huge space to produce a moderate amount of output. Intensive farming is a small amount of space with lots of inputs of labor, chemicals, capital equipment, energy, etc. So if you like, you can compare two systems like in Holland, intensive farming, small country, large population or high population density, produces a lot of crops, particularly like tomatoes and flowers and vegetables, etc. by putting in a lot of labor, a lot of capital equipment, a lot of fertilizers, a lot of glass houses. Compare that with, say, farming in, Canada, for instance, on the Great Plains, where huge fields, plowed up, plant wheat or something, it's too far north for corn, wheat, and throw the seed in, leave it, harvest it. There you have, that's where you get your flour for your bread from. The difference between extensive and intensive farming.
Well, to be honest, to me, neither of those sounded like small-scale farming. So this is something. This is something you can only do as
mechanized farming.
Like industrial. Maybe?
Well, you wanted to know what the definition of farming was, is to produce food. Now,
farming, so it can be only plants, or it can be both plants and animals then. All right, so I'm as far from farming as you can imagine. So
to add what he said, talking about the history of farming, I just discovered that humans have been lazy for a long time. So so instead of them going out in the forest or in the wild to look for berries and pick up things and harvest whatever, they decide to keep it very close to them. Just having them at the back of the house or the hut where they lived.
Well, it's not necessarily about them being lazy, but them being safe.
Oh, smart. Yeah. And that is another word we use for replacing, being lazy, Yeah, I'm smart. Yeah. All right. Well, that was just a joke. Yeah. Basically it's just, farming is just like, putting a seed or some some branches, I don't know, some roots into the ground and letting it grow, and having it as a food. So that's it basically. In Nigeria, for example, I've seen here, usually people farm without ridges. So in Nigeria, we do have to make big ridges. So a ridge is like when you gather sand together. So you make a heap of sand and you make rows with it. Yeah. Then you not put the seed inside. We do that because we have a lot of rain. Yeah. So it's a tropical country. It rains a lot. If you're not going to make ridges to protect the seed, or whatever, it's gonna wash up. Yeah, and it protects it from the birds too before the seeds germinates and start growing up. So it protects it from the birds and all that. So we make huge ridges. Yeah, we make huge ridges, so it's a little bit difficult to farm in Nigeria.
So have you ever farmed?
Yes.
So what's your experience? Tell me about your experience.
Yeah. Oh, you've never farmed before.
Well, I wasn't a farmer as such. But
yeah, I wasn't either.
Kate asked about small-scale farming. And as a reaction to the commercial production of food, as I mentioned in both systems, some people have tried to, shall we say, be self-sufficient, grow their own stuff. People have done it in one way or another in all countries over the world for a long time. If they've got a bit of land, try and grow a bit of food. The most productive parts of the Soviet system's food production was people's patches of land near their dachas, right? As opposed to the collective farms, which weren't particularly efficient. In Britain, people have always grown vegetables and fruit in their back gardens, but these days, a few people have gone on to what's called smallholding. That is, you have a house, you have a bit of land, maybe only an acre or something, and you grow vegetables, you grow fruit, and you can even branch out into a little bit of livestock. A lot of people these days keep their own chickens. That's as a reaction to battery farming. That is eggs produced by chickens kept in cages. People keep their own chickens now. You can feed them on scraps, a few chickens in the back garden, then you get fresh eggs, very fresh eggs. And that's the sort of, if you like, small-scale farming that I've done. I kept chickens, sheep, even a few pigs, and for 2 years, never to be repeated, turkeys, never.
Oh my, really? Are they aggressive?
No, they're just a lot of work. They're a real pain.
Oh my.
I used to see some wild turkeys in Boston, and they were very aggressive. They were just like wandering around.
I mean, that's what that's my association with turkeys. Yeah, very aggressive animals.
I don't trust them.
Yeah.
I was always trying to avoid them.
Yeah.
I never found them aggressive. I just found them quite difficult to look after. And unlike chickens, you see, chickens, when the sun goes down, will go into their coop, their house of their own volition, just shut the door behind them and they're safe.
Yeah.
Turkeys will not. Turkeys go and find the highest place they can to roost.
Oh, my.
Right? So they'll go up a tree.
But they can't fly.
They can flutter a bit.
Yeah.
They can. They're not.
I mean, just a little bit, to lift up a little bit.
Yeah, to get up to the top of a tree.
Yeah.
The trouble is, when the sun comes up, they'll come down from the tree. And if you're trying to, there is...
grab them or something.
Yeah, the fox will be waiting.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah. So I try to put them away at night. Well, of course, what they do is they get on top of the highest... if there was a tree, they go up it. So I've got to go up the tree to try and get them down. They're quite big. So they were in a big netted cage, if you like. But even then, they get on top of their house, and you have to get them off their house and try and put them inside the house so the fox wouldn't get them. And every night, wrestling with 4 turkeys is a lot of fun, I tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a way kind of farming, yeah.
Now I understand why you'll never again have turkeys.
No.
So you've had sheep, chickens, pigs, turkeys. And what have you grown? Because you said that you had some veggies.
Yes, everything. Well, I never grew cereal crops, but vegetables like potatoes, carrots, onions, peas, beans. What what else? I tried watermelons once in the polytunnel. That didn't work. Not in England. I have grown melons in England, but that was not that successful.
My dad grew watermelons this summer.
Yeah,
Where?
yeah,
Here?
yeah.
Russia.
Yeah,
In Siberia.
Yeah, it
Wow.
grew. Yeah,
They're not too big. I think it was around 5 kilos, but it was sweet. It was nice.
Yep,
Perfect.
Yep. A student of mine showed me photos too. She grew watermelon and melon. Yeah.
Where there is a wish, there is a way to
Yeah,
grow
yeah,
anything in Siberia.
Were they
Global warming.
outside? Were they actually outside? Or
No, in the
glass?
greenhouse.
In the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because outside they would just
No.
freeze.
Yeah, it's not.
I
It's
think.
not possible. Yeah.
All right.
All right, good. So my turn, right?
Yeah.
Actually, it was really very, very interesting experience. So I went to a primary school, and in our primary school we had farms. So the whole school has been grouped into houses. Yeah, and each houses had farms. So we compete in everything. We compete intellectually. We compete on the farm. We compete, in sports games too. All through the year. So on I don't remember what day of the week right now, but on a certain day of the week, they tell everybody, go to your farm and do some work. Yeah. So I was in primary school. I was really little. So basically, we just do the dropping of the seed, weeding. Yeah. When it was time to weed, then harvesting.
Very convenient. So you tell children like, okay, that's a competition. And then,
Yeah.
there you go, free labor.
Exactly. But I mean, we eat our food. Yeah.
What did you grow? What crops?
Yeah, we grew just basically corn. What else? I remember corn very well. Yeah, because in Nigeria, we have a lot of corns. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we grew corns. It's just the idea of it is just to give children the experience of it was a British school actually. Yeah. So the idea was just to give kids experience of growing food and being self-sufficient and all that. Yeah. So that was the essence because. When we take our harvest home, my mother is like, so what do we do with all this? Yeah, so we need to go and give it to our neighbors around. So it was. So that was my experience of farming. Basically because I live in the center of the city, so we didn't even have a pinch of land for nothing. Yeah, we just had some flowers in the pots, and that's not farming. Then, but we had some spare rooms in the house, so we did some. We kept some animals too. Yeah, and I kept birds. Yeah, I kept broilers, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
What, chickens?
Yeah.
In the house.
Yeah, but we had some spare rooms. It's quite a huge house, so there was some spare room somewhere in the store. So we kept some chickens. What else did I keep in my life? I kept rabbits. I had guinea pigs.
Okay, so guinea pigs, I guess, is just like a pet. But
Yeah.
what about
No.
chickens and...
Chicken, rabbit, guinea pigs are for eating in
Yeah.
South America. That's
What?
Yeah. They could be very
Guinea
big ones.
pigs?
Yeah, they're big ones. Really very big ones. They could be big ones. Yeah.
One each.
Yeah. I didn't eat my guinea pig, but I ate my rabbit. No. They could be as big as that. Yeah, sure.
Oh my goodness.
Really? Yeah.
So wait, so you kept all those animals and then you killed them to eat them
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
house?
Yeah.
I'm imagining a picture from Dexter show,
Yeah.
with a lot of that plastic,
Yeah.
so that there's no blood on the
Oh,
walls.
come on. It's so easy. You just lay them, put a knife into the neck, hold them down till because they're gonna be struggling. So you hold them down, keep them calm, and the blood is not
We
gonna.
need to put content warning for this podcast.
To be fair, I used to slaughter my own chickens, but I did a little bit more humanely than that. The chickens were shot through the back of the head with an air rifle. So
I
you
get
know what's
it.
happening. But they were outside when I did that because there would be blood flying around a bit. But well,
Wow, Michael, you're surprising
I mean,
us.
okay, it's okay. You just hold them down with the leg and your leg, and they're not going to move a lot. Blood is not going to splash everywhere.
Oh God!
And it's food. Yeah.
But at home in the center of the city. Wait, so do many people farm actually in Nigeria?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if a lot of people do keep some birds, basically, chickens, why not a lot, because we do have some store somewhere in the house, and you can just keep, like he said, chicken are really very easy to keep, yeah. So we do have that. Basically, that's what people have in the city. Then, of course, in the villages or whatever, or in the suburbs, so people do keep more. They have a place for them. They keep some goats or whatever. Yeah, but basically, in the city, people don't farm at all. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right.
Like grow things, food to eat, veggies. No.
You can farm in the city
Yeah.
a little bit. You can get a window box.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, I've tried growing tomatoes this year on my window box in
Wow,
Siberia.
that's cool.
Oh yeah, I remember there was an episode of our podcast about that, growing vegetables on your balcony.
I think that boils down to interest. Actually, Nigerians are not interested in that. I mean, one thing with Nigeria is like you're just sitting right in front of your house and you see people hawking these vegetables around. They're just going around. They're fresh, then brand new, and so why would you? Yeah, so people don't have interest in that. You can just pick them up anytime. Fruits, veggies, they're hawking them around. It's very cheap, and
What kind of problems can you have if you're farming? I mean, because you mentioned, John mentioned foxes. So is it a common problem let's say in Britain when you farm?
Foxes, yeah. Foxes. If you have chickens, you've got a problem with foxes.
Wow.
Foxes are everywhere. They've got to eat too. And I have lost quite a lot of chickens to foxes over the years. And it was just down to me not building a good enough chicken house, really, or... sometimes one might forget to lock them in at night. It does happen. But yeah, they're the main predator, if you like, in southern England. I imagine there's a few others in Nigeria, aren't there?
Yeah, in Nigeria it's gonna be snakes.
Aha.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. It's a tropical country, so snakes everywhere,
What other problems can there be? Michael, you have mentioned rain.
Yep.
Because it can wash away
We
the
have
seeds.
strong rain, very windy and all that. Yeah, so...
What about England? What problems can you have with the weather?
Well, when you're trying to grow certain crops, you have to watch out for the frost. So, like tomatoes or potatoes, for instance, let's take potatoes. So it's always traditionally said that you sow potatoes in England on St. Patrick's Day, 17th of March. But that can be a little early. If the shoots of the potato come up and you get a frost, it'll kill the shoots off. Now, they can recover, but you have to watch for that. You need to say cover them with something if you're going to get a frost that early. So maybe delay sowing potatoes, or should I say planting potatoes, till a month later if you live further north in England, just as an example. Waterlogging, if you get too much rain, can kill things. It happened to me a couple of times. I lost my entire potato crop because we had so much rain. They're sitting in water and they just rot. What else? With crops, the cabbage white butterfly.
I know what that is. My parents have a dacha, so they're growing a lot of stuff. Well, not a lot of stuff, but some stuff. So I was helping them a lot this summer. And I learned so many things about insects, crops, weather, what you need to do with the tomatoes, what you don't need to do with the tomatoes, how to water things. Things I had never thought I would learn. Honestly.
Definitely. There's so much technicalities in farming in Europe or somewhere. In Nigeria, it's quite easy. Drop the seed, weed it. Yeah.
If it survives, it survives.
Yeah, just weed it. Yeah, you just have to take out the weeds. Yeah, they're gonna kill it. Yeah, but that's all. Yeah, it's really very fertile land. So you just drop the seed. Anywhere you drop it, it's just gonna start growing. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
I have a question for you. These snakes, do they come into the house after the chickens?
Yeah. They come after the chickens. I mean, whatever. You know, they're predators.
Can you eat the snake?
Yeah. In Nigeria, we do eat snakes. Yeah. So if the farmer,
Oh.
yeah. So if the farmer gets this traitor or this, so
you can actually use a chicken as a prey, and then you catch snakes, and then you eat them.
Yeah.
Very convenient.
Yeah, it's like farming, and hunting at the same time.
And snake tastes like chicken, doesn't it?
I don't know. I've never tried it before.
I have. It tastes like
really?
chicken.
My mom told me she's tried it once.
Wow. It's interesting to hear. So you, John, you usually plant things in March, you said?
Well, potatoes go in traditionally in March, but other things I sow, say, tomato seeds in January, but inside the house. They wouldn't go out into the greenhouse till April.
Till
Probably.
April.
In the nursery.
Yeah. Different crops, different times of year for sowing. Some, you can sow raw beans in November, and hopefully they'll overwinter. You'll lose a few, but better to sow them in February or March. Parsnips, let's see. It says on the seed packet, sow them in February. Waste of time sowing. Different. A lot of the things I sow in the greenhouse to start with, and then you take them outside and then you plant them on. And for instance, some beans like runner beans or French beans, you can sow them outside, but it's a bit hit and miss. You're better off growing them indoors than transplanting a plant outside. But the risk then is the slugs.
There's always a risk
Yeah.
of some kind.
There's
There are
always
pests.
a threat.
The pests we have, as Michael mentioned,
Yeah.
snakes eating his chickens, slugs eating my cabbages and lettuces.
Yep.
And you can't eat slugs unlike snakes.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
But because it's interesting, in Russia, most people start planting on the 1st of May. Well, because we usually have very long weekend in May, at the beginning of May, sometimes even from the 1st till the 9th.
Yep.
So most people go to
You mean
their
a holiday, right? Yeah. Holidays and all that.
So, and then they see, depending on the weather, what they can actually plant.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it becomes warmer and everybody want to go out there to do something productive. Yeah. And talking about food, like farming or whatever, I forgot to mention that people do have trees, we do grow trees. Yeah.
like apple tree.
Well, we don't have apple
Not
in Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, so we do have trees around. So if you've got a house like in the suburb or even in the city somewhere, I mean, we've got like the trees that are meant to be around at times could be fruit tree, like mango tree. You can find it just right in front of houses in the center of the city, and they do produce, mangoes. So you can just go up there and get it.
What other fruit you got, Mike, apart from mangoes?
Yeah, so we do have mango, guava, watermelon, so high, so difficult. A lot of people don't have that. Banana, people try not to have banana because the leaves grow a lot, and you need to clear it. It creates a lot of mess. Oranges, yeah. Our oranges are not orange in color. They're greenish, really, really very, juicy and very sweet.
amazing.
Then pineapple. Yeah, pineapple is so high. So
Wow.
we don't really like pineapple that much, actually. Yeah. Because we have a lot of fruits and all that. So we know what happens if you eat them too much. So if you eat pineapples too much, they're going to affect your tooth.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it's so acidic.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Then if you eat too much of guavas, you're going to have, what is it called again? Appendices. Yeah.
Appendicitis, really?
Yeah. If you eat too much of it. If you eat too much of sweet mangoes, you're going to have diarrhea or dysentery. You're going to have to go.
Well, I guess the main idea is that everything is good in moderation.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
We, in England, obviously, it's not oranges and mangoes. It's apples, pears, plums. I've got a walnut tree, a hazelnut tree.
Yeah.
Produce. Well, the walnut tree produces, not that I get many of them, the squirrel gets most of them.
They're faster.
Yeah, they're a lot quicker. But yeah, lots of apples and plums. I grew the apples, a lot of them, for the pigs.
Ah, I see.
Pig food.
Wow.
Right, brilliant. And the sheep quite like them as well, actually.
And we're dying to have apples in Nigeria.
Well, this is one thing that grows in Russia that you have a lot of in Russia and in Siberia. But those are not like big apples, but those tiny, tiny, tiny ones. And they're usually sour and not sweet.
Yep.
What do you use those for then?
Pies.
Pies. Well, if you like sour things, then you can just eat them. Pies, jams. We make some juice out of them.
Some juice,
We call it compote.
Compote,
Yeah.
exactly.
My mom made like 100 jars.
Yeah.
This
I like it.
Even though we had a huge problem, which is because of the rapid change in temperatures at some point, a lot of apples, they started to rot. And there was this smell.
Yep.
It's a very specific smell of like alcohol.
Yeah.
And
they're not rotting, they're fermenting.
They're fermented, yeah, it's true.
well,
You've got cider on the way.
Yeah.
but I mean, when I was picking them up, a lot of them were just rotten. So that's. And it's funny to see the birds just flying, picking, those that started to ferment.
Of course,
and
sure.
flying away. I'm like, you're going to get drunk.
No. They do. Yeah, they do, yeah. Have you seen the video of animals getting drunk? I've forgotten the name of the fruit. So they go to the forest. All of them go there. I mean, that's the only time they're friends together. They all go there when the fruits are fermented. They eat the fruits. And yeah, they had a lot of problems on the way back. Falling, tumbling and all that. It's so funny.
But yeah, well, let's say my family, we have only one apple tree. And we still made 20 jars of jam, 100 jars of this juice.
Yeah.
And we also had to just cut them and freeze them so we can use them for the pie filling in the winter.
Fantastic.
It involves a lot of work. A lot.
Yeah.
And while we were doing that, I was so happy that we don't have a huge potato field because that would also mean a lot of work. And at least with one apple tree, we can handle.
That's what I used to do in the autumn. Yeah, apples. We bought an apple press, small one. So some of the apples would be chopped up and put in this press and squeezed to get the juice out. Some of it would be stored as juice, frozen, and some I tried making into cider.
Oh, I see.
Were you successful?
Moderately. It was drinkable, but
not sellable.
certainly not sellable. No. It was certainly strong. But the waste, the pulp afterwards, pig food. They loved it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like the rabbits, after peeling off beans or corns or whatever, the chaffs given to the rabbits, they like it a lot.
I feel like it's very eco-friendly way. I mean, because you don't throw away things. You can either compost it, feed it to the animals or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think a very effective small-scale farming will be to have both plants and one or two animals that could actually consume, some of these remnants or,
Yeah, the animals not only consume your sort of waste vegetables, your peelings, but they in turn produce fertilizer.
Yeah.
And let's get down to the nitty gritty now. Different types of animal fertilizer.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people in England will go, if they see a horse walking on the road, they'll run outside and try and collect the horse droppings.
Yeah.
And sprinkle it around their rose bushes. That was a tradition, and it's still done. However, horse manure is quite strong and needs to be rotted for at least a year before you use it on vegetable crops.
Wow.
But sheep muck you can use straight away. It's fantastic.
And what about cow? I think
no, cow has to be composted for a year.
I see.
I don't know what the difference is, but sheep muck can be, you just shove a lump of sheep poo in a hole and stick your tomato plant in on top. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm gonna use this.
Well, you need your sheep
Methods,
first.
yeah, sure. We have fertilizers right now, so you can just buy
This
that.
is the point, though. You see, you're not using chemicals. You're using
I
something
understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah,
Do you need
sure.
a lot of food to feed the sheep?
Well, they eat mainly grass. That's what you need is land.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
They need a
Fair enough.
space for
Fair enough.
Sure.
sheep. You know, that's
Sure.
the idea. Is that I had one ram and 3 breeding ewes, and in summer I had more than enough grass, about an acre. In winter I'd run out of grass, and then have to move them around to parts of the garden where you wouldn't really normally
Want
have
to
them.
go to?
And you'd have to feed them, buy in food for them, and what have you. But in summer you have too much, in winter not quite enough. But it worked just about.
So, and what do you usually do with the wool? I mean, what you personally did with the wool?
Now, yes, you have to. Sheep have to be shorn for health reasons. Otherwise, see, their wool can get mucky,
Yeah.
particularly at their back ends, and they can then be attacked by flies who will lay their eggs, which turn into maggots, which will then eat
Go
the
into the
sheep
body.
alive and kill them.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So you have to shear them, take the wool off. But unfortunately, these days, fleeces have very little value. When you think that 700 years ago, the wealth of England was built on sheep farming, wool, the Speaker of the House of Commons sits on a wool sack. That's how important wool was to the British economy. And now, when the chap would come round and shear my sheep, he would take the fleeces away because I couldn't sell them. He would get something like 10p, which is like 10 rubles for a fleece. Because think about it, what wool things do you wear?
Yeah, not that many.
Yeah, not that
Everyone
much.
many.
Yeah. Exactly.
So when you have somebody else do it for you,
Yeah,
shear them.
shearing sheep's a skill in itself. So see how you, turning a sheep over and snipping the dirty bits off his back end is one thing. That's difficult enough. But holding one down where you take the entire coat off it, like, without cutting the poor creature, is quite an art.
Yeah. That's a serious work, actually.
I also have a question to John again. So I once heard that a lot of people in Britain would like to have some kind of greenhouses or gardens, but they don't have land or they can't afford it, so they can rent a piece of land or they can rent a greenhouse. Is that true?
Yes, there's the Allotment Act of, I think, 1906 or something like that, which is the law passed by Parliament, said that all local authorities should provide allotments, which is portions of land which people could rent at very low rents to grow vegetables. And that act is still in force. Unfortunately, during the last war, everyone had an allotment. Everyone was growing food because we had rationing. Britain imports so much food, and we were running out of stuff. Since then, the supermarkets meant, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with that. I'll just buy it from the supermarket. So we've fallen out of favour. Allotments were left, became big patches of weeds, and the local authorities started selling them off for housing. There's a rise in demand for allotments again, but the land's not there. The local authorities aren't providing it. Land is expensive. Developers want to build houses now.
Yep.
And it's a problem.
Sure.
So yeah, because I was thinking about it. If that's true, then what about housing? Because Britain has a lot of people, but not that much land.
Correct.
Oh, interesting. Because I was wondering if that's a common practice to rent some land to grow something on it.
There are people who've got them, but people who want allotments, quite often there's a waiting list of like a couple of years to get them.
Oh, I would definitely just stop caring about it within a couple of years.
Well, I think that this virus thing has meant that people are even more interested in it. They're interested in leaving the cities, or if they can't leave the city, getting a patch of land, because during the virus, some of the shops ran out of food. People are becoming more concerned about what they eat. Will they be able to eat? Will there continuity of supply? And they really are interested in what goes on their plate. Is it full of chemicals or not?
Yeah.
It's true.
People have become more health conscious, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And conservative.
I have a question to both of you. What is let's say, the most unusual thing you have grown for your climate?
I don't really remember. I mean, in Nigeria, we do have agricultural science as a subject at school. So we do have practicals. So at times we do have to grow some plants, and bring it to the class and experiment how they grow and all that. Yeah. So yeah, but we grew just basically like normal things like beans, corn. Yeah, I mean, things that could grow in very little container that everybody could see and experiment and look at. So yeah, that's about everything.
I tried growing sweet potatoes.
We have a lot of them in Nigeria.
Well, they're not really viable in England. I grew them inside a polytunnel, inside some compost in a tub. And they were okay. They weren't as good as the things you can buy in the supermarkets, obviously, but it worked. A lot of effort, though, for very little.
Not worth the effort, though.
Not worth the effort. But I did grow crystal apple cucumbers. They grow outside quite well in England. They're little round cucumbers, are sort of about the size of one of your small bitter apples, but they're actually a cucumber.
Cucumbers.
I have never seen anything like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, like when he was describing it, I was trying to I was Googling in my brain.
Trying to picture it.
Before.
It's just the reason why I asked this question, because this year my parents decided to try something new. So they planted Brussels sprouts.
Wow.
I love Brussels. That's my favorite
love
vegetable.
it. But so we were, planning on harvesting it in September, maybe the end of August, because we didn't know. And only after we noticed that there are not that many, Brussels sprouts themselves, we Googled that, and it turned out that you have to harvest it in October when the temperature is around -5.
Yeah. That's when it grows.
And it was so surprising. We're like, what?
Yes.
But it's growing and it's so fun.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah.
Brussels sprouts, they do say in England you shouldn't pick your first sprouts until you've had the first frost, because the frost will make them slightly sweeter. I'd be interested to see how your Brussels sprouts last through a Siberian winter. In England, you can carry on picking sprouts right through the winter, right through until March.
I don't think that can be done in Siberia.
Yeah, -30 probably kill them off, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm
Kills
sure.
everything off.
I am sure. All right. So, and that was about growing food. But what about making our own food? So, for example, I see a lot of trends these days. People make their own cheese, milk, oat milk, nut milk. What else? Cottage cheese.
Yeah.
So a lot of things. So what do you think about it? And have you ever made any type of food like that?
I think it's really, really very good. It's a way for people to relax together, like a family or friends, friends and all that, to do that. And to go through the process, it's kind of like it's educational too as well. So, and all that. And I think it's really very good. I think I like cooking, so I think it's really, really very good for every individual to have such an experience. But way back, if I think about my family, I don't remember us really doing anything. Yeah, sure. Yeah, apart from cooking or whatever, we don't really make food. We don't marinate nothing, and basically.
So not you think you've never done.
Yeah. We just get some fruits at times, make some juice. But I think that's not what you're talking about, no?
Well, whatever you can make.
Yeah, just juice. I remember we made soya beans, right?
Yeah, we both, John and I, look.
Yeah, soya beans. So we get soya, soya cheese or whatever. So we get soya seeds. They're being processed. Then somehow it turns into a cheese later.
Very detailed process, right? Description.
It's a long time. I don't remember. I wish my mom was here.
All right, John, what about you? Have you ever made anything?
Well, I would have liked to have had a go at making cheese. Unfortunately, you need a dairy animal to make that. So you can get milk from a sheep. I have milked a sheep once, but you don't get much out of it, and it's a nuisance, shall we say. Goats. I considered goats. They're not a bad dairy animal for small-scale production, but they're very destructive. A cow is really out of the question, but that's what you really need, is a dairy animal to produce milk.
Sure.
To make cheese, you need the milk, and you need a thing called rennet, which is usually taken from the inside of a calf's stomach. What that does is separate the milk from the solids to the liquids, the curds and whey.
Yeah.
You can buy a chemical now instead of using actual rennet from a calf's stomach.
You can use some leaves. In Nigeria, they have some special plants they use. I saw that. Yeah.
That performs. Okay, that's good. Anyway, having done that, the solid stuff, once you strain the liquid out of it, is, what's that Russian cheese you buy here?
Tworog.
Tworog. That is essentially what curds are.
Yeah.
And what you do after that is what makes the hard cheeses that you see all across the world. You know, from Stilton to Camembert to cheddar are all start as, what's it again, Michael?
Tworog.
Right. Squeeze it and press it and add a few other things, and that's how you get cheese, as it were.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have tried that, but never had a dairy animal. But I have made sausages and ham
that's
and bacon.
Cool.
I wonder why. Maybe because you had pigs.
Pigs,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, if you hadn't done that, that would have been a waste
Yeah.
of very
Pig.
nice pig.
Yeah. But pigs are the most efficient animals for turning into meat. They use something like 60 or 70% of the pig can be turned into one form or another of food.
Oh,
Which
that's
is a
cool.
much greater percentage than, say, a cow.
You should talk to some Russians. They will say 90%, trust me.
Well, there are the bones, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, because I know that a lot of people, so you can use the bones and whatnot to boil them for a long time, and then you make this meat jelly.
Yeah, I've heard this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, in Nigeria, usually the bones are dried up, then they're being crushed, and they're used for dog's food, like a dog pudding or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, they love it a lot. Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah.
So what about, let's say, bread and pasta? Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know some people, they try to buy as little as possible in a shop, and they try to make as much as they can.
Yeah, I've made bread. Got a bread maker.
Oh, I've never done it.
Yeah,
I have a
we've never
student
tried it
who she used to bring freshly baked bread every Friday to one of our classes that she would make, like, in the morning the same day.
Wow.
And it would have, like, the smell of rosemary. Oh, I loved it.
Yeah.
But I have never done it myself. I want to.
Yeah,
though.
we've never tried that too before.
I follow the page on some social media of Jamie Oliver, who's a British chef. And I love his position about how he also tries not to buy a lot of things at the supermarket, but to grow everything and to make everything from scratch.
Yep.
I love that. I love that idea. But also he has a garden, a big house, so greenhouses, so he can do that. Probably not, an easy thing to do when you're living in a small apartment in Siberia.
Yeah.
So...
I think it's really very important to try to do things yourself because, it's kind of like reset the mind, it brings you down to understanding how food is very important for people, how food is important for everyone, without food, we're nothing. So, yeah, so when you try to do stuff like that, it's kind of like resets the mind. It teaches you to be to be concerned about healthy food and all that. So, yeah.
I can see a lot of people nowadays to be concerned about, let's say, their health. And I can see a lot of people making their own food, choosing organic food, promoting all the ethical farming. Do you think it's just a trend? Or why is there suddenly such a popularity of all these organic food? Is it just a trend? Are the companies just trying to use that?
I think there's genuinely concern about what goes into producing food and therefore what you eat. Let me think. Give you an example. Carrots, for instance. Simple, plain old vegetable carrots. Now, have you ever bought a carrot that's got little black bits in it? Yeah, that's carrot root fly. That's the larvae of the carrot root fly. So how do you get rid of that? Well, we used to use in Europe a thing called a derris dust, which is a powder you sprinkle into the ground as you sow the seeds. And this kills off the larvae of the carrot root fly. So you get perfect, nice carrots. However, the carrot must absorb some of this chemical. So derris dust has been banned. But how do you prevent the carrot root fly getting at your carrots? It's quite difficult, to be honest. But that is part of the reason for the organic movement is people are prepared to pay more so they don't eat a sort of a bit of derris dust with their carrots. And the same goes for all other vegetables. But the price, of course, means that a lot of people can't afford it, don't want to. It makes things a hell of a lot more difficult to try and produce things organically. I've tried, I really have. And the GM crop thing frightens people, I think. It's so hard to avoid. Very hard to avoid because, for instance, my pigs were raised, as I thought, quite organically. But unfortunately, the pig food I would have to buy to supplement the apples and cabbages I grow for them was GM. Came from America, I think. So,
but is GM food always a bad thing?
Don't know. I don't know.
Well, I mean, talking about the the movement and the hype and everything of well, some people overreact or do it for commercial reason. But I agree with John. With John, I think it's genuine. It's to create awareness for people to to be healthy and have a healthy way of life. Like a saying goes, you're what you eat, So, and talking about GM, I don't know if I'm going to be sued or I'm afraid for Big Apple if Big Apple is going to be sued, but I'm against GM, genetic modified food. I'm from Nigeria where food, we eat, practically 100%, natural food, organic food. So GM for me, it's really very, very irritating. I got used to it living in Europe for more than 13 years. But yeah, I know the difference, and the difference is so clear. And I think people deserve to eat organic food. We have enough in our planet, yeah, sure. And we can improve in that. So people up there, whatever, should be concerned.
But people have been modifying animals genetically for centuries. That's why the sheep that were farmed in England 500 years ago, about half the size of the ones there are now, they were just selectively bred. That's genetic modification, but it's not fiddling with the actual genome. It's only doing the same thing, but more slowly. So interfering with how things are grown has been going on for centuries. Carrots, for instance, going back to carrots are actually purple. Carrots originate from Afghanistan and they're purple. The reason they're all orange is because when the Dutch got hold of them back in the 16th or 17th century, they selectively bred them to be orange because the Dutch royal family is the House of Orange. Right? And they want, hence their football team plays in orange, everything's orange in Holland. And carrots are now, generally speaking, orange. Though you can buy packets of seeds with purple and yellow ones in them.
Yeah, like I told you about oranges in Nigeria, they're green. Yeah, greenish, definitely. When I show people a picture and I say, what is this? And they're like, I don't know, that's an orange. Really? But if you taste it, you will never go back to the one in the shop that is orange.
Oh, really?
Never.
Is that big a difference?
Yeah. A couple of years ago when we went there with my wife and she tried that orange and she came back and she saw the ones in the shop like something spooky. Wow! That was a reaction, really.
Interesting.
Sure.
So, and that's about GM food. And what about animals? So, because I know that there are industrial farms and ethical farms there.
Yes.
So, what's the difference?
Big difference. One of the reasons I embarked upon keeping livestock, I'm not a vegetarian, doubt if I ever will be.
We got that.
But
Let's not start that debate.
I do care about animals a lot, and I was horrified when I discovered about some of the farming practices that go on to produce cheap food for our table, for our plates. And I thought, well, do something practical, raise your own pigs, your own chickens, and that way they'll have a much more natural, a much pleasanter life. They're still going to get killed and eaten, but at least while they're alive, there won't be chickens, for instance. Chickens, I would imagine here across the United States, are all raised in great big sheds, millions of them packed together underneath big lights, pumped full of antibiotics, because being so close together, they get diseases. This has a negative effect on us because using antibiotics in animals routinely means that we will gradually become, or shall we say the diseases will become immune to the antibiotics, so we won't be able to use them for ourselves. These poor animals are supposed to be outside, pecking and scratching. That's what chickens do.
Enjoying the life.
Pigs is even worse. Pigs, the minimum standard for pig keeping in Britain is on slats, which is like being in a big room with floorboards with gaps in the floor so that the poo falls through. But at least they can move around and socialize. Whereas, unfortunately, commercial pig production usually involves what's called sow crates, where the female pig is kept in a sort of pen where it can't move at all. It's fed at the front end, the poo's collected at the back, and the piglets are delivered, and it stays in this for the 8 years of its miserable life until it's slaughtered and turned into sausages. Whereas pigs should be outside, rooting around in the ground, eating naturally. And that's what I believe, and that's what
rolling on the floor.
Yeah, enjoying life.
Yeah.
That's how my pigs lived. Whereas, unfortunately, Danish bacon and Dutch bacon and most of what's produced in Europe is produced in sow crates. It's a lot cheaper, of course, a lot cheaper, but it's not very fair on the pig, I'm afraid. And I'm totally against that sort of farming.
That's why I saw when I was buying eggs in the US, I saw just eggs, and then there were free-range eggs, so the chickens were running.
In England now, the pressure built up so much that almost all eggs now are sold a free range. Right?
But is that true, though?
It is true, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, how much can we believe when we see a certain label?
Almost all eggs sold in shops are free range. Unfortunately, still a lot of eggs from battery hens are used in England, but they're imported and used in the catering industry. So when you buy a cake from a supermarket, it's been made in a factory where they will buy the cheapest eggs they can get, and they will, of course, be from battery hens, quite often produced abroad in places like Greece and Spain. The EU was supposed to have sorted all this out. But, of course, the EU does not enforce its own rules. So sow crates were supposed to be banned across Europe, but they're not. Well, they are banned, but they're still in use. Same with battery hens. They're not supposed to be in use, but they're not enforcing their rules.
Exactly.
Let's move to something more positive.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't want to end on this.
Yeah, we're not going to get to the roots of that. Yeah, really.
So what if you had no, let's say limitless finance. You had as much land as you want. What would be your perfect farm be like?
Oh, come on. That's my dream. Even without the limitless or whatever, it's my dream in the future to have a ranch. You know, I don't know how big it is going to be, but I want to have a ranch.
So what do you want to have there? Do you want to have cows, sheep, horses?
Yeah, I'm going to have basically all domestic animals, you know. So 1 or 2 horses just for going around, you know, my vast ranch. Then I'm going to have birds, you know, like chickens. Yeah. I'm not sure I'm going to keep turkey after what John said. Then, but I would like to have an ostrich. Yeah, in Nigeria. Yeah, in Nigeria we have ostrich farms.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually people who tried ostrich farming in Britain. Didn't work out too well.
So your dream farm is in Nigeria then?
Yeah, in Nigeria.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. Because I need to have. It's cheaper for me. I can produce more because of the weather. The land is very fertile. So, and it takes just a couple of hours to come to Russia.
Have you eaten ostrich?
I've not tried it before. Yeah,
You haven't? No.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like I went somewhere to have an ostrich. Yeah, probably some. I don't know, because there are a lot of other options and stuff like that. Yeah.
Surprise, surprise! It tastes like chicken.
Yeah,
Too many things in the world taste like chicken. Like, what?
It has the texture of beef, though.
I heard crocodiles even taste
yes,
like chicken
they do.
too. Yeah.
Alligator tastes like
You
chicken.
have tried it?
Yes.
I've not
Florida.
tried it.
Emu, chicken.
And John said he cares a lot about
Frogs,
animals.
chicken.
Yeah, frogs I've not tried. Yeah, sure.
Frogs' eggs taste like chicken.
Yeah.
So John, what about your perfect farm? Dream farm?
Well, I sort of had it. I would have had, if I'd had the time. It's not the money, it's the time, really. Another acre and a bit more time, I would have had a couple of Dexter cows, which are a small, hardy breed of cows you can leave outside all year.
Yep.
You can milk them and you can eat them, so they're dual purpose.
Yep.
So, because
Perfect.
in order to produce milk, of course, cow has to have a calf, which you then eat, so you can have the milk rather than the calf. So, the realities of farming, I'm afraid.
Sure.
Yeah, too many said reality. They're hard to farming.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
You're
Welcome.
All right, guys. Well, that was the Big Apple School podcast. And today we discussed small scale farming. And we learned so many things. I think you are just like me.
Yeah.
Not a big farming person. So we defined farming. We talked about farming in Nigeria and farming in England. We talked about about the culture of dachas in Russia and producing our own food. Cheese, plant-based milk, bread. We talked about that being a trend or not trend. We briefly mentioned ethical farming versus industrial farming. And Michael and John described their perfect dream farms. Thank you for listening. And remember, if you struggle to understand our conversation, you're always welcome to our website, which is bigappleschool.com/podcast. You can listen to the podcast and read the script at the same time. So very helpful. Also, if you want to get more content, which will help you learn English, you can follow us on social media, such as Instagram, VK, YouTube, Telegram, basically every single social media. Just again, search our name, which is Big Apple School. That was Katya, and my guests for today were
John from England.
and
Michael from Nigeria.
stay tuned, and we'll see you around.